In today's video, we are once again going to be diving into that upcoming major Christmas snowstorm or pre-Christmas snowstorm that's going to be taking place somewhere in the eastern half of the nation. There's still a lot of uncertainty, but we're going to be going over the most recent model guidance and updating you guys on all of those things. We also have the brutal polar vortex that also looks to make an appearance right around Christmas, leading towards other impacts that we will go over within this video. Now, let's get straight into things, and first things first, we can see we're taking a look here at our current conditions, and there's not a whole lot of major activity taking place, so we're just going to glance at this and then move straight into the action here. We can see that there is some showery activity across much of the northwestern United States, including here in the Pacific Northwest, where rainfall in the lower elevation areas is taking place and snowfall in the higher elevations there. And then we can see across these northern plains and northern Rockies, we're also seeing some spotty snow showers. As we work our way towards the southwest, we can see there's a low offshore, and this is bringing some showery activity. Same story here in the lower elevation areas. We see rainfall. In the higher pockets, we do see some of those snowfall showers taking place. So very, very elevation based here is what we're seeing as far as this activity goes. And then across the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, as well as some of the interior northeastern United States, we have some pockets of snowfall showers taking place here in the northeast corner of the nation, as we're seeing some very cold air in place currently, and that is allowing for this to be all snow here as you can see for many of these different areas. As we work our way a little bit further northeast, we can see some more widespread snowfall taking place here for very far eastern Maine there. Heavy in some spots as well is worth noting. As we work our way down towards Florida, we can see still, just like yesterday, some thunderstorms taking place down here as we speak for the southern third or fourth of that state. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move on right away and get into the upcoming guidance, where we will again talk about that major upcoming snowstorm and the polar vortex that is on the way. So we're actually going to do this in the same fashion we did yesterday. I think that worked very well. We'll go over our European models, storms, here over the next 10 days, and then we'll dive into that total snowfall through that major snowstorm, and then we'll do the same thing on the GFS, and we'll finish things out with the temperature forecast at the very end, where we will see that brutal polar vortex that's going to bring record-breaking temperatures to some spots over Christmas weekend, and maybe even some more extended time after and before that time period. So plenty of cold air and extended periods of time of that cold air is expected at this point. Now let's just go ahead and glide through this. We can see that as we extend through the next couple of days, there's not quite as much action taking place as there will be. We do see that feature number one is starting to take place here in the Gulf, and this has become more and more dominant over the last few model runs. We see that number two up here has become less and less dominant, actually. So we're seeing less of that activity up there and more of it down here. That's kind of been the trend. Now, piece number one moves quicker and quicker and quicker through every model run we've watched, and we see the piece number two is kind of lingering behind. And this is playing less and less into this really combining, and we're going to see a messier storm because of this. Now, we see this kind of splits, where we see some of it go out to sea, and this obviously won't play a role anymore at that point, but we also see some of it working its way up the coast. And this pocket will actually play a role in the storm as it rolls through. We see snowfall beginning here for the upper Midwest and the Great Plains as well, as the storm starts to take action here. By the time we're reaching very early into the 22nd of December, that will be Thursday, so we're only a few days away at this point, and the storm's going to get started. As we work our way towards later on Thursday, what we see happen is this activity is moving up the coast, and we see that inland for that area, we are seeing snowfall here for a lot of the Northeast. That's going to be mostly for New York, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire as well, and some areas in Pennsylvania and Connecticut are seeing snowfall at this point. Now, on the western end of things, we're seeing areas in the upper Midwest and the southern plains seeing some snowfall. That includes states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan there, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, down through Arkansas, and Oklahoma as well. And we can see what's happening is our low is mostly located in here. So we see a warm front here and a cold front underneath. We've been talking about these features for a while now, and what this does is it allows for everything behind that cold front and north of the warm front to be snow, but south of that warm front and to the east of the cold front, we're going to see rain throughout all of this pocket here, as you can see. We can see that taking place on this model run as well. As we continue things on towards later on Friday, we see this low really develop here over Michigan, and we're seeing snowfall on the southern end of things here for states up and down the Appalachian Mountain Range there. And then we're seeing plenty of snowfall for the Great Lakes regions here as well. Very, very heavy snowfall. Now, what we see happen is that low transfers and starts to really develop for eastern Canada, and this allows for states like New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, West Virginia to see snowfall all the way until late on the 23rd into early on Christmas Eve. And that's lingering until it's basically not here by the time we're reaching Christmas Day, where we'll be left with a massive ridge in the west and a big trough in the east here. This is what's going to allow for that record-breaking cold to move in here for a lot of these areas over Christmas Eve into Christmas Day and even into the day after Christmas there. As we continue things on, we basically see that we don't see much else taking place. There is some potential for a coastal storm a couple days after Christmas here, but as we can see on this model run, this is very well offshore, but there is plenty of cold along the east coast to where if this was to track a lot closer to the coast, this would be able to bring snowfall wherever the precipitation would be. So there is some potential there, but since the model isn't showing it at this point, we're going to say that that is a low chance at this point of happening, but still a chance is a chance. Now, the total snowfall on this particular model, or European model here, would look something like this. In the grays, a dusting, if anything, blues 2 to 6 inches of snowfall, purple 6 to 10, pinks 10 to 20 there, and you can see that's widespread throughout multiple states across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast there. Probably 10 plus states seeing 10 inches or more, so very, very major snowstorm at least. And then we see the light blue pastel colors there across the Great Lakes, and that would be 20 inches plus, and we even see some pastel pinks in some areas, and that's going to be 35 inches plus. This is still expected to be an extremely major snowstorm for some areas. It's just the location is very uncertain at this point, clearly. Now, the GFS model, we're just going to walk through this one as well. We see that by the time we're reaching the morning time of Tuesday the 20th, we see feature number 1 really taking place across the Gulf here. Going to be a stormy start to the week and midpoint of the week there. We see feature number 2 developing by the time we're reaching Wednesday the 21st here. So we see snowfall across the Northwest and a lot of the Rockies here as well. As we continue this on, we see things really merge a lot better here on our GFS model. We see plenty of snowfall taking place for portions of the mid-Atlantic here, as you can see, and also for the very far southern plains like Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas as well, as this is kind of just combining a lot better than what we see on the European model. This trough is also digging so much deeper here, but we still see the same features for the most part, a warm front extending here and a cold front underneath. It's just further south at this point. So we still see this warm rain layer here, like we saw on that European model. This is shaping up to have a lot of snowfall across these portions of the nation, as you can see, with extremely heavy snowfall taking place. And the storm just stays together and much further east in general. We see the Ohio Valley and the interior eastern United States seeing the most snowfall from this 977 monster snowstorm we see here on the GFS model. This is by Friday afternoon. Heavy snowfall is obviously taking place. 9:55 by the time it's up there in Canada, and we see snow showers left behind here for the Northeast taking place still on Christmas Eve day there during the afternoon. Perhaps a bit of a clipper system here on the GFS model to bring a white Christmas, a legitimate white Christmas here with snow showers flying throughout these regions on Christmas Day on the GFS model. We'll continue to track that situation. Obviously, we wouldn't expect much accumulation from that, but to see flakes flying on Christmas Day would be truly magical, obviously. Perhaps the potential for this to move offshore and ride up the coast a little bit. Possibly watching these areas a tiny bit for a very minor snow event at this point, but only time would be able to tell. We do get another potential. This is right around that same time frame we mentioned on the European model, where the precipitation was more like over here on the European model. Well, it's more like over here on the GFS model, as you can see, and it is bringing snowfall to these coastal regions around the 26th, 27th time frame. So yes, that potential is there and definitely needs to be watched. As we move on, we get a little bit of a warmer period right around the 28th of December with some frequent cooldowns. We get a bit of a warm up there around the 31st of December into the 1st of January, but we do get a cold front moving in, as you can see, with some cold air diving into these areas here by the time we're reaching about the 3rd of January. This is very far out, so we're going to take it with a grain of salt, but certainly something that is possible. Now, the total snowfall here on the GFS model is a little bit more widespread with those 10-inch plus amounts, as you can see. Anywhere in the grays, a dusting, if anything. Blues, 2 to 6 inches of snowfall. Purples, 6 to 10. Pinks, 10 to 20. Your pastel blues, like we see in Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Maine, Michigan, all of these states here, that is going to be 20 to 35 inches of snowfall. And those pastel pinks, 35 inches plus, like we see for the Rockies and the Cascades there. As you can see, this would be an extremely major snowstorm here, mostly due to just how many states see snowfall from it. I mean, that is extremely widespread with this snowfall and very major amounts throughout a lot of different states as well. Certainly a very, very huge Christmas snowstorm is on the way according to both of these models we took a look at. Now, the temperature pattern, we'll watch this closely, but it's been cold along the eastern United States for a while here, and it's only expected to really get colder by the time we're reaching the 20th, 21st, 22nd. We see a bit of a ridge developing because that low develops over here and has the warm front. That is the entire reason why, basically. And then the cold is allowed to spill in behind it like this. This is exactly what we're expecting to see at this point. Now, that cold front continues to move along and fully enters in by the time we're reaching the night of the 23rd into the Christmas Eve day, where things will look like this. This is your polar vortex slash Arctic blast, very major Arctic blast taking place right there, especially in those magentas and the pinks. That is going to be extremely far below normal temperatures for Christmas Eve day. Anywhere in your blues, I'm talking about the blues outside of the greens, like up here and over here and down here, these ones are going to be about a degree to 10 degrees below normal, or slightly below normal temperatures. Your greens here, as you can see, those are going to be 10 to 15 degrees below normal, so very far below normal already. Then these blues within the greens, they're almost a purplish hue here. For a lot of the mid-Atlantic, we're seeing that. Also for the southern plains here. That is going to be 15 to 25 degrees what your normal temperature is, below what your normal temperature is, that is. The magentas, especially the darker ones like we see down here, that is going to be 25 to 30 degrees below normal. And then these bright pinks like we see up here, we're also seeing some of that down here for Florida. That is going to be 30 to 35 degrees or more below normal, whatever your normal temperature is. Clearly, this is extreme departures from what's typical, and this is why we're expecting historic temperatures to potentially take place here on Christmas Eve, but also Christmas Day here. There's going to be plenty of these very cold temperatures around, especially in this corridor here, and then a little bit for the southeast here as well, very far below normal temperatures. Now, this continues on, but it starts to get more and more mild as time moves on. As you can see, only some cold air is left over by the time we're reaching the 28th. So the coldest time frame is going to be the 24th through about the 26th. That's going to be the brutal cold air, and then it's going to just be kind of normal below normal temperatures after that point. Not quite as extremely far below normal, if that makes sense. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to consider subscribing because we do upload every single day, and we will keep you guys up to date with all of these situations that we went over in today's video. Be sure to hit that bell icon as well for daily notifications so you don't miss it when we do upload a video. Also, be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it and leave a comment down below with your thoughts, and I will be seeing you guys in tomorrow's video.